So if the Republicans take Congress in the next election, what would they do? Let's talk about it in today's video. Hi, I'm Mike Reiner. I'm a lifelong Democratic activist who's concerned about the direction our country is taking. I'm also a lawyer and an academic, and I'm here to help you stand up to the BS of the MAGA crowd. So there's an old saying that when somebody tells you who they are, you should believe it. And Kevin McCarthy and the Republicans have been telling us who they are. As of today, the odds are that Republicans are going to take control of the House. The Senate is a much closer matter, although it appears that most predictions are that the Democrats stand a better chance of holding that chamber. As a result, we should talk about what Kevin McCarthy and his associates have said they do if they do take control of the House. Well, one thing that's been brought up among some of the more radical Republicans, of course, is that they want to impeach not just Joe Biden, but Merrick Garland, but anybody you can think of. Why? Because, well, they will be able to. It'll be an utterly pointless exercise because, of course, there won't be the votes in the Senate to convict. And it won't matter if Joe Biden or Merrick Garland or anybody else actually committed any crimes. A number of Republicans have made it clear they're just going to impeach just because they can. Now, as it turns out, actually, Kevin McCarthy isn't so enthusiastic about that. But we've seen that Kevin McCarthy is not exactly what one would call a profile in courage in standing up to his more extreme elements in his party. As a result, I have no doubt that we'll at least be seeing the idea of impeachment being bandied around quite a bit if Republicans take control of the House. The second big thing we can expect to see are investigations, because then they will have subpoena power and control of the agenda of some of these committees. What will they investigate? Well, they'll investigate Hunter Biden, of course. Why? Because, well, they can. We, of course, recently heard that a grand jury was likely to make criminal referrals against Hunter Biden, but the untold story of this is that that criminal investigation was started, wait for it, during the Obama administration. And the fact that this investigation has been allowed to continue on without political interference really speaks to the fact that the Biden administration is all about the rule of law. Imagine that! But that will not stop the Republicans from creating a big show. After all, just remember what they did with the Benghazi hearings, right? What else will they investigate? Well, they'll certainly investigate the border. After all, they've been doing everything they can, as I have documented ad nauseum on this channel, to create a false crisis there and to create the perception that things are out of control in a way that they really aren't. If there were any chance of any kind of fair hearing, they would find out the fact that in general, the Biden administration's done a pretty good job of managing a tough situation that was left to them by the Trump administration. But that, of course, assumes that the goal will actually be to tell the truth, which again, never was the goal of the Benghazi hearings. The next big investigation I expect to see will be something about the 2020 election and how it was stolen. Again, never mind that one investigation after another by such Republican luminaries as Chris Colback of Kansas, for example, have found that there was no such thing as voter fraud. And the more that there is research into voter fraud, like what happened in Arizona, the more they find that there wasn't any. And typically when it is found, it's been done by Republicans. But again, Republicans, if they control the House, aren't going to let the truth stand in the way of a good story. Kind of along those same lines, I think we can expect if the Republicans control the House, when the votes are counted for the next election, that you're going to see efforts by Republicans to accept sham elector slates from states that voted for the Democrats but have Republican legislatures. This was the plan that Donald Trump and his allies wanted to implement but were unable to implement because basically they weren't ready for it at the time. By 2024, though, they'll be ready for it. And so we can expect to see if the Republicans control any levers in government, they're going to use it to the best of their ability to try to make sure that Donald Trump takes the presidency, or whoever the Republican nominee, although it's probably going to be Donald Trump, no matter how the voters actually vote. On a more substantive side, we can expect to see Republicans playing games with the debt limit again. Now, this is something, as I've expressed in videos in the past, that really outrages me, given the fact that the debt limit was raised with cooperation from both parties without issue 3 times during the Trump presidency. That the Democrats always put the full faith and credit of the United States as a higher priority to their own political interests, something the Republicans appear unwilling to do. Republicans during the Donald Trump presidency spent money like drunken sailors, mostly on defense contracts and tax cuts for the very wealthy. At several points during the Trump presidency, the debt exceeded $7 trillion. And yet Kevin McCarthy and the Republicans never complained about that. Oh no, it's just when a Democrat's in charge that they get worried about deficit spending. Never mind the fact that actually under Democrats, the deficit has gone down, generally speaking, while under Republicans, it's generally gone up. But again, let's not let the facts get in the way of a good story. In fact, I would not be at all surprised if the Republicans take control of the House to see the government shut down again, just like the Republicans did in 2013 and 2018. They don't care about the people who will be inconvenienced or who won't get the checks that they're due, because again, to them, this is just one more political football. The real lives of people don't really matter much. And some of the areas of spending that they've made clear they intend to attack include, for example, Social Security and Medicare. With Ron Johnson, the MAGA senator from Wisconsin, bemoaning the fact that after somebody works their whole life, they just get Social Security and Medicare, just like that. Can you believe it? And we have the official Republican Senate platform calling for sunsetting of these programs every 5 years, which means every 5 years you need to set them up again, rather than just knowing that they're going to be there when you retire. And for those who believe that the United States is doing the right thing supporting the Ukrainians, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Kevin McCarthy had made it clear that they intend to put a stop to the full-throated support that the United States has shown under President Biden's leadership for the Ukrainians in their resistance to this unlawful invasion by the Russians. So if you care about Medicare, Social Security, or helping the Ukrainians, or for that matter, the government just continuing to operate and keeping its credit rating high, you have to vote for Democrats for the House in this upcoming election. Finally, you can expect culture wars ad nauseum in Congress. They've already been calling for a national abortion ban, despite the fact that when Roe v. Wade was the law of the land, they said they just wanted to return control of the abortion issue back to the states. But again, let's not let consistency get in the way of a good story. We've also now seen introduced into Congress by one of the MAGA superstars, a version of the Don't Say Gay legislation, which we've seen down in Florida. This is the message we need to get out to people. It's one thing to say, oh, I think we want Republicans there kind of as a check on the power of the Biden presidency. That could be a reasonable position if the Republicans were actually honest brokers in government. But the reality is that's not what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a radicalized Republican Party that believes in destroying the government. And they've already told us how they're going to do it. Shame on us if we don't take them at their word. Well, if you want to see a video on how Republican control of the House could lead to the Republicans overturning the legitimate election in 2024, check out this video I did a little while ago over there. This is not some theoretical issue that shouldn't be at the forefront of everybody's minds as we vote this November. I'll see you then. In the meantime, let's hope for continued progress. Thank you.